The Emu War, when Australia went to war with birds. Imagine a military operation involving armed soldiers, machine guns, military vehicles, and a determined enemy. Now imagine that enemy is a large, flightless bird. It sounds like a comedy sketch, but in 1932, Australia launched a real military operation against emus. What followed became one of the strangest episodes in modern history, a conflict so bizarre that it is still discussed nearly a century later. This is the story of the Emu War, a story of desperate farmers, government intervention, military embarrassment, and thousands of birds that proved much harder to defeat than anyone expected. To understand the Emu War, we first need to travel back to Australia in the early 1930s. The world was in the grip of the Great Depression. Economic hardship affected millions of people across the globe, and Australia was no exception. Many former soldiers who had served during World War I returned home looking for work and stability. The Australian government encouraged veterans to settle in Western Australia and become farmers. Large areas of land were allocated for wheat farming. The idea seemed promising. These veterans would build new lives while helping increase agricultural production. But the reality proved difficult.
Farming required expensive equipment, and profits were uncertain. Then came falling crop prices due to the Depression. Many farmers were already struggling to survive. And then another problem appeared. A very large problem. Thousands of them. Every year, emus migrate across parts of Australia. Emus are among the largest birds on Earth. Adults can stand nearly 2 meters tall and weigh more than 40 kilograms. They cannot fly, but they can run at speeds exceeding 50 kilometers per hour. They are powerful, resilient, and surprisingly intelligent. In 1932, approximately 20,000 emus moved into farming regions of Western Australia. The birds discovered something wonderful: freshly planted wheat. To hungry emus, the farms looked like an enormous buffet stretching across the landscape. The birds trampled fences, damaged crops, and consumed large amounts of grain. The destruction was significant. To make matters worse, the broken fences created openings that allowed rabbits to enter the farms, causing even more damage. The farmers were furious. Many of them were former soldiers. They had faced artillery, machine guns, and trenches during World War I. Now they were losing a battle against birds. Something had to be done. The farmers appealed to the government for help. Their argument was straightforward. If the government could support agriculture and protect national food production, it should assist in controlling the growing emu population. The Minister of Defense eventually agreed to provide military assistance. This decision would transform an agricultural problem into a military operation. The Army supplied soldiers and 2 Lewis machine guns. The Lewis gun was a powerful weapon used extensively during World War I. The plan seemed simple: locate large groups of emus, open fire, reduce their numbers. Problem solved. At least, that was the expectation. Reality would be very different. In November 1932, the operation began. Major G.P.W. Meredith was placed in charge of the mission. Reports suggested large concentrations of emus in the affected farming regions. The soldiers arrived confident. After all, they had machine guns. The emus had feathers. The outcome seemed obvious. When the first opportunity finally arrived, soldiers spotted a group of birds. They prepared their weapons and opened fire. Immediately, the plan started falling apart. Instead of remaining together, the emus scattered in every direction. Small groups broke away and sprinted across the landscape. The soldiers discovered that hitting fast-moving birds over long distances was much harder than expected. Only a handful were killed. Most escaped. The military had won the battle. The emus had won the objective. As the operation continued, soldiers noticed something unusual. The emus seemed to have a natural survival strategy. They often moved in smaller groups. When danger appeared, they dispersed rapidly. Some observers even joked that the birds behaved like trained military units.
One famous account described larger flocks splitting into separate sections, making them difficult targets. The birds also possessed remarkable endurance.
The hunters became the exhausted ones. News of the operation spread quickly. Newspapers began reporting on the bizarre military campaign. People found the story hilarious. The image of armed soldiers struggling against birds captured the public imagination. Journalists described the conflict with increasing amusement. Some stories portrayed the emus as clever opponents, humiliating the Australian military. The military operation was becoming a public relations problem. Each failed attempt generated more jokes. The birds became unlikely celebrities. Around the country, people followed the campaign with fascination. Could the army actually lose? After several days of operations, the results were disappointing. Thousands of rounds of ammunition had been fired. Only a fraction of the emu population had been eliminated. The cost-benefit calculation looked terrible. The government faced criticism. The military faced embarrassment. The emus remained everywhere. Eventually, the operation was suspended. Later attempts were made, but none achieved the decisive victory that officials had hoped for. The birds continued their migrations. The farmers continued their struggles. And the emu war entered history. Technically, some emus had been killed. Strategically, however, the birds achieved their goal. They survived.
If wars are judged by objectives, many historians jokingly award victory to the emus. Although the story is often treated as a joke, there were practical reasons for the military's difficulties. First, emus are incredibly fast. Second, they are spread across vast areas of land. Third, they do not gather neatly into stationary targets. Fourth, the environment favored the birds. The terrain made pursuit difficult. The emus knew no fear of military doctrine, battle plans, or command structures. They simply followed their instincts. Modern wildlife experts would point out that machine guns are rarely an efficient solution to large-scale ecological problems. The operation revealed the limitations of trying to solve a wildlife management issue using military tactics. Today, the emu war occupies a unique place in popular history. It has inspired books, documentaries, internet memes, comedy sketches, and countless articles. The story survives because it combines several irresistible elements: a serious government response, an unusual enemy.
It reminds us that nature does not always cooperate with human plans. Even advanced technology can struggle against environmental realities. Most importantly, it demonstrates that history is not always about kings, presidents, and great battles. Sometimes, history is about a group of frustrated farmers, a military unit armed with machine guns, and 20,000 birds that refuse to cooperate. The emu war lasted only a short time, but its reputation has endured for generations. What began as an agricultural crisis became one of the most unusual military operations ever recorded. No territory changed hands, no peace treaty was signed, no monuments commemorate a decisive battlefield victory. Yet nearly 100 years later, people around the world still remember the conflict. Because among all the wars of the 20th century, there was one that stood apart from the rest. And that is the incredible story of Australia's Emu War of 1932. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. And as usual, I will see you on the next one.